Hey guys, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter board game review. Today's game up on the tabletop is called The First Step on Colossus. It's by Brian C.K. Lowe, and it is a game for 2 or 4 players. In the game Colossus, you are simply going to be playing as nobles on the island of Colossus. You're going to be going ahead and moving around the board and gaining new locations. There's mines and there's cities and villages and all sorts of great things, and you want to control them all. The more you control, the more honor you get. The more honor you get, the more you're going to be moving the victory track around the board. After you get to 60 points, you're going to be the winner of the game. There's also a ton of different units you're going to be using in the game that's going to help you progress, as well as a bunch of cards and die that will help increase your ability to win, all while at the same time being able to manipulate certain aspects of the game, including die rolls, to help you go throughout the game. Alright, that is the basic idea of the game. Let me go ahead and show you what it looks like and a good example of how to play. Okay, so here is the setup for the game, and as you can see, it is a 4-player setup, and every single player is going to be getting a side of the board, as well as units on the board, and units and other options here on their area, right? So first of all, you're going to choose a character, and there's 4 different characters to choose from, as well as 2 preset heroes that come with that leader. You're also going to be getting die chits from 1 to 6, which you'll be using throughout the game, and turning them over to indicate that you have changed your die roll. You can use these for any die roll that you'd like. You're also going to be getting units to begin the game with. These are 2,000 and this is 1, so you get 5,000 total. You'll be getting 2 strategy cards, as well as 8 currency, 7 honor points, and 2 mine chits. You're also going to be getting one of these battle boards here, which tells you what you're going to be doing throughout the game. It's kind of a player reference board, and it has a front and back. It also comes with die, and they start with a 6-sided die, and these are all also 6-sided dice, but they are going to increase in number. Like this is a 2 to 7, this is a 3 to 8, and this is a 4 to 9. You'll be using them for battle throughout the game. You're also going to be making sure that you set up a board over here, which will indicate the amount of heroes you can buy, which is 4, as well as a deck to replenish them. The action round token will start at 1, and to set up the board, simply follow along with exactly as we have done so here. In the game rulebook itself, it will show you how to do that, but you can choose to look at either. After you've gone ahead and set up the board, as well as have your player area set up and your 2 heroes that are unique to you, then the game is ready to begin. Simply have everyone roll a die, and whoever has the highest roll is going to be the winner, and will begin first using their character on their city location to move in any indicated direction that they would like. So on your turn, you're simply going to choose which way you want to move, and then roll 2 6-sided die. After that, you can simply move to that location, or if you'd like, you can change the die by using these simple die tiles here. When you flip one over, you can then change that die to that number, and nothing higher, nothing lower. After that, you're going to either have to stop on a space that tells you need to stop at, such as the city in the middle of the map, or you're going to stop where your die has indicated. There are going to be things like guild halls and cities and villages and a couple other unique things in which you're going to be able to gain stuff, such as the mines. You'll gain a new mining token, which will let you upgrade buildings. Your guild hall will let you buy more heroes, as well as buying strategy cards and things like that. The village is going to give you additional points and victory points, and you can also battle. Well, how does that work? That's pretty simple. Once you go into another person's location, such as a city or a village or something like that, you're going to then be able to fight them. And there's 3 types of battles. You've got like war of aggression. You've got war of aggression, hero battle, and war of supremacy. There's 3, right? And you can choose any one you want on certain locations, but as for the villages and as for the mines, you can only choose war of aggression, in which case you'd be rolling die back and forth, as well as using your heroes to indicate which type of battle you're going to be doing. Some of them will end up making you use all of your units to fight, others are going to be a 5-round battle, and then some of them will actually just make you take or reduce the amount of units you have by 1,000, so it depends on what you're going to do. Also, you're going to also be gaining victory points or honor points depending on if you do the honor battle. Now, after you've chosen that, if you win the battle, you're going to be gaining that location, and you're going to also put your little production tokens on there, which will give you additional currency and honor. Or you could choose to do something like the middle of the board, where you're going to actually just gain that location on your own if nobody's there, or fighting for it because it's a very strong space and it'll give you a bunch of bonuses. Well, anyway, enough talking about it. I know it sounds confusing. Let me go ahead and show you a good example of how to play on the board below. Okay, so we're back to the board, and it's just set up and no one's done anything yet. We're on the first first action round, and we're going to go ahead and start with green. He's simply going to roll his die here, and he's got 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. He's chosen to go north, so he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Perfect spot there. Had he moved farther, he could have chosen to stop here, in which case he can gain this location. He would simply take this space here and put the amount of indicated army units he would need to put down on it. We'll just go ahead and use some briefly from somewhere else, just like that. This is a great space because during the income phase, after the 4th action phase has been gone on, you're going to simply upgrade this to for 2 for nothing but just simply because you own it. And that's going to give you additional bonus points that will increase your honor as well as increasing your currency. The next player will simply roll their dice as well. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if he already owns the location, he can simply rearrange the units he has provided there. The next player can roll a die as well. 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now he's on a guild hall. The guild hall is pretty cool because it lets you buy strategy cards, which are these guys over here, as well as purchasing character cards, which are these guys over here. And finally, he's able to purchase development tokens. And for the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, it tells you how much it costs. Development tokens are basically these guys over here. So if he wants, and he has the ability to buy certain things, like basically spending soldiers, he can spend 2,000 soldiers, 2 of these guys over here, and for the second for the first upgrade, he can simply put one of these guys onto either his main city or one of his smaller cities, like this one over here. Whenever you're building these developments, you're going to have to do it simultaneously. So you have to have 2, 2, 3, 3. You can't build one up way high and the other way low. You have to make sure that they're equal in some way. And after everybody has had a turn, then you would simply move the action round to 2. You would then have to go around the board once more, then 3, and then 4, and after that happens, the income phase would go on. The income phase is pretty simple. Any of these guys you use while rolling dice, you'd have to simply flip over. Whenever you did a battle, you'd flip these guys over as well, because whenever you use a battle that isn't your leader, you have to flip over these guys, which means you can't use them again in another battle for the action rounds, as well as gaining army units for each of the gold you have, and gaining victory points across the board over here, going all the way around, for each of the different victory things here. So for instance, red would gain 7 points for him having 7 of these guys. You'd also gain production for each of these mine tokens you have, and you can fight other people to gain more mine tokens, which will let you have these little developments. So red over here would be able to upgrade twice. Pretty simple, right? Now, not only that though, but as the rounds continue, you're going to be gaining victory points. And whenever somebody takes a space of yours, they're going to take them away from you, as well as the currency, and they're going to be able to gain those on the next round after the 4 action rounds. Now, also to note, which is very interesting, there's just 3 types of battles, and battles will take place in the main cities, the smaller cities like the base, the city, the villages, and even the mines. And it's going to take place on adjacent characters or any of the characters that are not yours. So if I wanted to fight the mine here, I could choose to do a war of aggression in which we're going to use battle dice. Normally it'd be a 2 to 6, but depending on the character that will change, and it shows you the 3 different types of battles and the types of die you'll be using. The upgrades are simple. It's a +1, means you'd be switching this die here, and if it was a +2, you could simply switch this die here. However, at a +2, you could also, instead of switching it like that, you could simply use 2 blue die. That would work just the same, provided that you had the die available. Now, I think it goes up to about +5, but then you're going to be rolling the dice against your opponent, and depending on the battle, will determine either if you're fighting with all of your units or some of your units, or just simply doing a honor battle, which is 2,500 units, as well as gaining victory points per battle that you win as an attacker. If you can remove all of your opponent's units from the board, then you're going to be able to gain that space and remove the development marker and place one of your own. When that happens, that's when you're going to be gaining your additional victory points as well as your currency. And it tells you on this little board here what you gain when you do that. And simply going around the board and continuing. There's a couple other unique, interesting things about the game. You're going to have spaces like this one over here, which means if you go here, you're going to be able to go to the next one, basically like a teleporting space. Or if you're starting in the middle of the board here, like this green guy here, he can actually, instead of going left, forward, or backwards, he can simply go to one of these blue spaces or this one over here. This blue space over here lets you traverse just like this, though. So it's a very useful aspect of the game to going back and forth. You've got the main cities, which will function the same way, but you can actually battle in either the 3 different ways, as well as the mines. Like I said before, when you beat them in their mine location, you gain another mine, and then that was going to give you the ability to upgrade your units more. Whoever gets to 60 points wins the game. Now, if you get to 60 points before the income phase, you're going to instantly win the game. But otherwise, if you get to 60 points afterwards, it's the person who has the most. And there's a couple different tie aspects throughout the game. So that is the basic idea of how to play Calas. Let's go take it up, and I'll talk to you about a couple caveats. Okay, so what I haven't mentioned really is going to be action cards, these guys over here. When you purchase them, you're going to be able to use them provided you spend a certain amount of soldiers. And they do different things here. They'll let you retreat in battle. They'll let you gain +1 in combat. They're going to let you do a bunch of random things. +2 to all of your rolls during battle. That's really powerful here. +1 to all your rolls in battle. This one over here is steal 2,000 soldiers from an opponent's team and place them in your own team. Or reorganize. At the start of your opponent's turn, instead of rolling dice, that player has to re-enter the space he originally was entering. So that can actually make him kind of lose a turn, but still be able to do things, provided he's on a good space. You can also buy units, and units are strong in certain areas. Some of them have passive abilities that you can use throughout the game, and others are going to have powerful battling abilities, but maybe only one battle or even two. This guy here says he's got Gambler Strike. During a battle, his player may choose to use this skill right before they roll. Once they use this skill, all of their rolls for the rest of the battle will be the one that player rolls and cannot be modified. That's pretty good, and also could be pretty bad. You're also going to have a leader skill, which will do certain things. This guy here, whenever he walks through an opponent's or his own city, he's going to gain 500 units. And this guy over here says that every time he wins a battle, there will be people who want to join his faction, gain 500 soldiers, and put them in your army. So winning battles is very useful for him, and traveling around the kingdom is good for him. But all 4 unique leaders do something different, right? That's why they're called unique. And they also have different battling abilities as well. But that is the basic idea of the game. I think I've talked about pretty much everything. There's only a couple things really. Whenever you use these die here, during the income phase, they're going to be refreshed so that you can use them once again. But during the 4 action phases, you can only use them once. And whenever you're battling, you're going to be increasing your die roll. You have the opportunity to switch it however you want. And whenever you get fought and lose a location, you're going to lose the victory points as well as the honor for that location and give it to your opponent. Which means that if you don't get it back by the time the 4th action phase is over, they're going to gain those points and those soldiers. So be aware of that as well. But get to 60 points, win the game. Pretty simple, right? It's cool. Let me tell you what I think about it. All right, so the first step on Colossus. Now, if that wasn't a good enough explanation, I actually have a how-to video that you can go ahead and check out. It'll either be out now or actually was out previously before this video. It just depends on how we do it. But if you wanted to know a more in-depth how to play the game, you can go ahead and check out that. Now, let me tell you what I think about the game. Well, first of all, it has a risk aspect to it, but there's 3 types of battlements that are similar to Risk, in which you're rolling die against each other, but actually very unique as well, because there is a bunch of different things you can do. You have character abilities, which actually have more power than other characters depending on the battles they have. You have your die tiles that can switch the die around as you're playing the game, which is really, really unique and interesting. Normally, I'm not a big fan of the Risk battling system. I've pretty much made that known throughout most of my reviews. However, this one is unique enough to where it doesn't bother me, and in fact can be very useful when you save up your die for the last action round and nobody else has any of these die tiles to be used. Not only that, but when you use your characters, they get flipped over and you can't use them anymore. So if you play passive and then go aggressive, that can be a very beneficial thing. However, it really depends on how you want to play and what characters you own. The plethora of characters you can buy throughout the game will give you a bunch of different abilities, and some of them are good passives, while others are good aggressive abilities. There are wonderful battlement cards, these guys here, and the action cards do a bunch of wonderful things. I strongly recommend using these because they're a lot of fun and they benefit you greatly. The game is very fairly balanced, and in fact, as you can see the board when it first started out, everybody has an equal amount of things, and they all function approximately the same. Other than just the character units you're going to be receiving, you're all on the same area of winning the game. You have the same chances. That being said, there is a little bit of luck in the game. Any game with die rolling is going to have that. And if you really, really hate Risk and you do not like rolling dice against each other battling, this is a game to stay away from. Not only that, but it has a roll to move function. But like I said, if you don't like the roll you got, you can simply change that roll. And it's kind of your fault if you needed a 6 but used it a 6 earlier in the game and you didn't necessarily need it as much. So you have to pay attention to that. And that is very fun for me. It's what made me enjoy the game specifically, because I had the option, and whenever I felt like I didn't get the role I wanted, it was my fault because I chose to use it for something else, and it would have been more beneficial to save it for this thing. You also have the round tracker, which makes the game fairly simple. You go through 4 of them, and then you have the income phase, and you're going to gain points. However, it's a little wonky when it comes to gaining income. You have to count up all the different pieces throughout the game you get every single time you get one. So whenever you conquer a location, make sure you do that right then and there. If you forget, you're in a bit of trouble, and it's kind of got enough things in there to, while you're doing the income phase, it kind of gets a little confusing otherwise. So remember, when you battle somebody, make sure that you go about switching whatever you gain. If you gain honor points and currency, you need to do that right then and there. Otherwise, they're going to keep it and forget about it, and you'll just have a location that doesn't actually mean anything because they still have all the currency for the location. The character abilities are cool. The artwork is really cool in this game, very vibrant, very beautiful, and it is an enjoyable game. I do really like it. There are those things, which is the roll to move aspect and the combat dice, which I can see people not liking. I can understand that. And there is a lot of setup to this game as well. As you saw on the board, I wasn't even going to explain it because you need to look at the rules as to how it's explained, and there's a 2 to 4 player variant. However, the interesting thing about it is there is an extra variant, which actually will let you make the board. And it gives you kind of an idea of how you can put it together, which is really cool, which is why it's made like this. It has the tiles instead of just being flat on there, because I think they're going to have variants where you can make the board your own by like a draft system, which I think would be really cool, but I never got to play that, so I couldn't tell you much about it. Overall, though, I think you have a good idea of how to play the game, and I definitely recommend it. It's one of those games that I'm going to be playing under certain circumstances because of the length of the game, and it's probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours, as well as the fact that you have to have a good amount of players, a good crew of players to play it with. I also recommend playing it with 4 players instead of 2, especially for the amount of setup. But I do enjoy this game, and I definitely think you should check it out if it sounds appealing to you. Alright guys, thanks for watching another Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter board game review. If you like this video, go and check out the rest of our videos here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. It all helps, as well as checking out the how to play video if you need a more indescript definition of how to get the game and how to understand how to play the rules. As well as checking out my website, unfilteredgamer.com. We got tons of blog posts, giveaways, Kickstarter lists, and more, as well as a bunch of giveaways currently going on. One for Mayday Games in Nerdy Invention, which is a pretty fun game, and I believe Twist of Fate too, which is an Oliver Twist game. Also, you can go ahead and check out our friends at everythingboardgames.com, the Giveaway Geek, and my personal friend Ferdinand the Cardboard Stacker. He's got some great tutorials on there. Alright guys, well that's all I got for this one, and as always I appreciate it and I look forward to seeing you next time.